Good evening, people, viewers of the Republicans Overseas. I Love Patrida channel. This is Jonathan Constantine, and today I'm going to speak to you about a very current issue. And this is, I'm showing you, the National Security Strategy of the United States of America, November 2025. I'll be reading a couple of key issues, which we've So, after the usual address, my fellow Americans, which comes from the president, the first thing we've underlined, this is the following phrase: we unleashed American energy production to reclaim our independence. So basically, what Donald J. Trump and the administration team is saying is that energy is power. And that's a message to all our friends, our adversaries, and our frenemies, too. Next thing we've made a note of under the chapter introduction, What is American Strategy? I noticed the following. I've underlined it, very, very important. Yet, the affairs of other countries are our concern only if their activities directly threaten our interests. Now, this is a big game changer. A lot of things are quite different, or as Donald J. Trump put it, or J.D. Vance, there's a new sheriff in town, which means that we're not going to get involved in endless wars that don't concern us. In the next chapter, I noticed something very interesting. What should the United States want? What do we want overall? And I'm going to read the entire paragraph. Second paragraph. We want to protect this country, its people, its territory, its economy, and its way of life from military attack and hostile foreign influence, whether it's espionage, predatory trade practices, drug and human trafficking, destructive propaganda and influence operations, cultural subversion, or any other threat to our nation. What I would like to make a special note of is cultural subversion. Now, this has been predominant in the United States for many, many years. China, Qatar, other adversaries of the United States have been actively trying to undermine our culture by bringing and establishing ethics which are foreign to the American people and foreign to the American culture. Now, page 5 is quite interesting, which, after it theorizes certain of the policies, there's a chapter, a subchapter called "What Do We Want in and from the World?" And I've underlined bullets number 2, number 3, and number 4. So, quote, we want to halt and reverse the ongoing damage that foreign actors inflict on the American economy, while keeping the Indo-Pacific free and open, preserving freedom of navigation in all crucial sea lanes, and maintaining secure and reliable energy supply chains and access to critical minerals. Third bullet, we want to support our allies in preserving the freedom and security of Europe while restoring Europe's civilization and self-confidence and Western identity. We want to prevent, that's the fourth bullet, an adversarial power from dominating the Middle East, its oil and gas supplies, and the choke points through which they pass while avoiding the forever wars that bogged us down in that region at great cost. Now, let's get back. Bullet number 2. Reverse the ongoing damage that foreign actors inflict on the American economy. Well, okay, obvious. We started with the tariffs. But mainly, this means reversing the deindustrialization of America And also means clashing with the elites that American too, or now bought by Chinese or Qatari interests. All the manufacturing left the United States and went to third world countries and China. Next one, preserving freedom of navigation in all crucial sea lanes. Now, all crucial sea lanes also involves the Arctic. So we should expect the United States to be gearing up for Arctic. I wouldn't say warfare, but I'd say definitely Arctic dominance. Now, the third bullet is something that really hurts us who live in Europe. While we want to support our allies in preserving the freedom and security of Europe, while restoring Europe's civilizational self-confidence and Western identity, which basically what the United States administration is telling Europe, you've lost that Western identity and you've lost your civilization self-confidence. That's because you've been taking too much money from Qatar, from China, and from all those bad actors, Iran, but all those bad actors who are trying to undermine Europe and turn it into the new Muslim caliphate. Next thing we've noticed, we recommend you read the entire text, it's freely available, is on page 9, under the chapter, The Strategy, subchapter Primacy of Nation. I'm going to read. The world's fundamental political unit is and will be the nation state. A little bit further on, United States will encourage them to prioritize their own interests as well. We stand for sovereign rights of nations, against the sovereignty sapping incursions of the most intrusive transnational organizations. Well, obviously, we know what Donald Trump and the administration is referring to. He's referring to the UN, which is a real botched up job. He's referring to the EU, which stifles every conservative voice, and to various other organizations. And of course, the Paris Climate Accord, which we pulled out of. Next bullet on page 10. Under subchapter Sovereignty and Respect, the United States will unapologetically protect our own sovereignty. That includes, blah, blah, lobbying and influence operations that seek to steer our policies or involve us in foreign conflicts. This is a direct mention of Qatar. Qatar, at this point, is spending huge amounts of money to influence United States politics. And we see it. They have their conference in Doha now, and all the woke, all the paid Qatari politicians, journalists, what have you, are sitting there to beckon to their master's voice. When we say master, we mean all the huge amounts of money they're taking into. Next bullet point, also very interesting, we've underlined it, balance of power. The United States could not allow any nation to become so dominant that it could threaten our interests. A little bit further down, we will work with allies and partners to maintain global and regional balances of power to prevent the emergence of dominant our adversaries. Now, this is not about China, because China is already a dominant our adversary. This is a direct message to other countries. And insofar as our part of the world, because we're based in Greece, this is a direct mention of a particular country named Turkey that wants to revive the Ottoman Empire. Turkey and Qatar, the country that backs it up financially, but then again, China too, because China is financing both Qatar and Turkey. Fast forward to page 11, very interesting point, subchapter Competence and Merit. The success of radical ideologies that seek to replace competence and merit with favored group status would render America unrecognizable and unable to defend itself. Now, this is talking about the woke ideology, it's talking about all this transgender insanity that has been propagated with the aid of foreign money, plenty of it, sometimes with the aid of USAID and other organizations, taxpayers being paying for this lunacy. Well, we don't want anything to do with it. And it's pretty clear that it's not only for the United States. The administration strongly suggested, guys, if you want to do business with the United States, if you want to be on our good side, get rid of all the woke rubbish and get rid of everything that we stand against for. That'll make you better friends. You want to keep the woke ideology? Well, you're not going to be so close to us. Then, next thing we've pointed out is on page 14. It's the chapter on energy dominance. And I quote, "We reject the disastrous climate change and net zero ideologies that have so greatly harmed Europe, threatened the United States, and subsidize our adversaries." People, climate change is a hoax. Net zero is a way for oligarchs to make more money, to make America less strong, and to promote all these radical leftist, Marxist ideologies. Anybody who believes in climate change, net zero, better not come to our table to discuss. So, word of warning, you want to stick to that, go to the other side. It's pretty strong wording by the National Security Directive. Now, let's jump to the page 16. Next chapter is about foreign policy. And these are actual talking points on how foreign policy should work. American policy should focus, says on chapter enlist on page 16. American policy should focus on enlisting regional champions that can help create tolerable stability in the region. Okay, this is a challenge. This is a direct challenge to all nations seeking the favors of the American Trump administration. If you want to be in on us, you got to take it up on yourselves to act. Don't expect us to solve your problems if you're not willing to solve them yourself. I mean, quick example, country I'm currently residing, Greece. Greece has never, always pays lip service to the United States, does the least that it can, and especially with them all being Trump haters, especially in the last few months, we've seen the huge amount of hypocrisy from Greeks towards the Trump administration. On page 19, subparagraph Asia, win the economic future, prevent military confrontation. I'd like to read this following section. China got rich and powerful and used its wealth and power to its considerable advantage. American elites, over 4 successive administrations of both political parties, were either willing enablers of China's strategy or in denial. This is a signal to the American establishment and mainly to the military industrial government complex. You've been too lax on China. We know very well that many of you were in bed with China. I mean, seriously in bed. on the take from China. We know who you are. Now we know how much you damaged America policy. And I'm not talking just high level. I'm talking mid level. I'm talking aides. We've compiled reports on several of them. Actually, some of their recipients were also, as we discovered to our chagrin later, on the Chinese payroll, passed them on to Beijing. Don't worry. Your time will come. We know you. We know you. You have a name. You have an address. We'll get to you. Next, page 21. Same section speaking on Asia. We must continue, the report says, to improve commercial and other relations with India to encourage New Delhi to contribute to Indo-Pacific security. Well, part of it's IMEC. And we know very well that IMEC has been the target of the globalists. And why? Because IMEC will help the Gulf states, it will help Israel, it will help Cyprus. It might help Greece, if Greece ever decides to join and not just pay lip service to it, or may join Italy if Greece decides to cop out. But it will help the United States because it will guarantee that that trade route will remain rock solid, and we will avoid a lot of hassle that involves the Straits of Hormuz. It's the old project de-Hermesification, which we launched back in 2019. Page 22, China has recycled perhaps 1.3 trillion of its trade surpluses into loans to its trading partners. That's something very interesting. And there's no better way, and this country, which I live on, and Greece knows it, to make a slave of somebody and to get him in debt. And Greece is a slave country now. To whom? Those who hold the leashes. Again, it continues as India being a potential strategic partner. Now let's get to the last and final section on page 25, chapter Promoting European Greatness. After talking about the economic stagnation and pinpointing the fact that Europe's real problems are even deeper, I'm going to read a couple of sections of which we found very interesting. But the economic decline of Europe is eclipsed by the real and more stark prospect of civilizational erasure. Among other things, the loss of national identities and self-confidence. This lack of self-confidence is most evident in Europe's relationship with Russia. As a result of Russia's war in Ukraine, European relations with Russia are deeply attenuated, and many Europeans regard Russia as an existential threat. It's a core interest of the United States to negotiate an expeditious cessation of the hostilities in Ukraine in order to stabilize European economies and reestablish strategic stability with Russia. Basically, what Donald J. Trump and the new administration is saying that, guys, Russia is not your real enemy. Who's your real enemy? You are. The forces that were within Europe and are seeking to destabilize Europe. That's the real enemy. And the problem is, you're in bed with that enemy. You're in bed every night, and you're sucking up to them. And we're talking none other than the Qatari Chinese syndrome. And to continue to page 26, text says, today, German chemical companies are building some of the world's largest processing plants in China using Russian gas, which they can't obtain at home. The Trump administration finds itself at odds with European officials who hold unrealistic expectations for the war perched in unstable minority governments. Watch it. This report is talking about minority governments in Europe. And yes, all of Europe, including the country that I live in, Greece, are governed by minority governments. It's not a parliamentary power. I mean, imagine that, just as an example, the government in Greece was elected with 1 million votes out of a 9 million population. That means that it has the support of 1 in 9 people. Now, the question is, okay, where did all the other go? Well, obviously, they went to the opposition parties, maybe another, and the others stayed home because they're completely disillusioned with current policy makers in their countries. And this is not just Greece, it's all of Europe. People are fed up with your woke craziness. You got it? They're fed up. You want to go broke? Go woke. It's simple. If you want to be with the globalists, you're going to go broke. Your people will suffer, and your country will end up dismembered. Got it? To continue with the text, American diplomacy should continue to stand up for genuine democracy, freedom of expression, and apologetic celebrations of European nation, individual character, and history. Did you get that, people here in Europe? We've had it with you. I mean, we have completely had it. America encourages its political allies in Europe to promote this revival of spirit, and the growing influence of patriotic European parties indeed gives cause for great optimism. We have had it with your woke Europe. We have had it with your globalist agenda. We have completely had it with your World Economic Forum, with your transnational organizations. We have had it. The faster you get wise up to that, the faster things might get running. We want to work, and this is the last paragraph on page 26, and I quote, "We want to work with aligned countries that want to restore their former greatness." You got it? We don't want wimps. Last section is D, is the Middle East. I'm going to read quickly. For half a century at least, American foreign policy has prioritized the Middle East above all other regions. The reasons are obvious. The Middle East was for decades the world's most important supplier of energy, but further down, at least two of those dynamics no longer hold. Energy supplies have diversified greatly, with the United States once again a net energy exporter. And on page 28, conflict remains in the Middle East's most troublesome dynamic, but has been greatly weakened by Israeli actions since October 7, which means that finally Israel woke up and stopped being so pathetic about the whole situation. And of course, our own Donald J. Trump's June 2025 Operation Midhammer. Hamas chief backers, a little bit further down, have been weakened or stepped away. Syria remains a potential problem with American, Arab, Israeli support may stabilize. Now, what's the take on that? It means that Hamas, I'm going to read that again. Hamas chief's backers have either been weakened or stepped away. Well, that remains to be seen. Have they really stepped away? Has Qatar and Turkey really stepped away from backing Hamas? Well, we'll see. They may pay lip service, but by the wording and the spirit in this text, they'll pay the consequences if they still back Hamas. Because further down it says, Middle East partners are demonstrating their commitment to combating radicalism, a trend line American policy should continue to encourage. This region, further down, cannot be an incubator or exporter of terror against American interests or the American homeland, and Israel shall remain secure. This has two, or possibly more recipients: Qatar, Turkey, and behind them, Iran and China. Because we all know the Chinese are funding both Qatar, Iran, and also Turkey. So this is a warning. Then it goes on Africa, and that's the national security strategy of the United States of America. If you want to know what America's going to do, just read it. Like General Patton was asked, how did you beat Rommel? I read his Beat Beat book, the general says. If you want to know what Donald J. Trump is going to do, just read it. I just highlighted a couple of the interesting things. And just in summation, before I bid you goodbye, Godspeed, I will say one thing. As Republicans, we're fed up. We're fed up with wokeism. We're fed up with hypocrisy from nations feigning to ally with the United States, but promoting the agenda of our enemies. But we're mainly fed up with the horrible way all you European woke trash treat our administration, President Trump. And remember, the GOPs, which I'm proud to represent as the chair of the Hellenic chapter, the GOP's sign is the elephant. And remember, the elephant never forgets. Thanks for listening to me, people. God keep you all well.